Nigeria looks set to be one of the biggest beneficiaries of duty-free trade into the UK. This comes as the UK government has launched the Developing Countries Trading Scheme, or DCTS, in Nigeria. The DCTS benefits 65 countries globally, 37 of which are African countries. And that means that Nigeria will benefit from duty-free trade on over 3,000 products. With a duty-free trade export rate of 99%, Nigerian companies will have the opportunity to export a wider range of goods to the UK, from agricultural products to commodities. This will not only boost the local economy, it will also help to build strong relationships between the two countries. Nigerian exporters of products such as cocoa, cotton, plantain, flowers, fertilizers, tomatoes, frozen shrimp, and even sesame seed are among those who will benefit from the new tariff regime outlined in the UK's new Developing Economies Trading Scheme. Joining the conversation now is Muktar Mohammed, financial analyst, and he also the CEO of Asheer Dynamic Solutions. Muktar, welcome to Business Edge. Thank you so much for joining me.
Morning, Tolu.
So let's start with a statement in terms of where this relationship between the UK and Nigeria really stands. So the UK Deputy High Commissioner Ben Llewellyn-Jones described Nigeria as one of the UK's most important partners here on the African continent. And when we look at this existing bilateral and the economic sort of trade relationships between Nigeria and the UK, how has Nigeria really fared? Before this scheme came into being, what were the things that we saw as positives or advantages in this relationship?
I think the only advantages we have with the British maybe is just about Nigerian people going there to school. In terms of business-wise, I don't think we really enjoyed any business relationship with them. Basically, they have enjoyed more from us. If you look at the figures that were just released by the Education Department, shows that about 65% of those foreign students in the UK are Nigerians, and so they have benefited more from us. In terms of business, I don't think we always have this bilateral agreement with the UK, but the only one we can say we enjoy is the air bilateral agreement, which also seems to favor them more because up till now we don't have a national carrier, and when we had a Nigerian carrier that had like a national carrier, we will not be able to sustain competition with the British counterpart in terms of volume of movement of people. So definitely this is a welcome development if we don't have the bottleneck that always come with Nigerian exporting things out of the shore of this country. The Nigerian Export Promotion Council, I think this is an opportunity for them to up their game and make sure that we do things right and benefit from this gestures from the British government.
And so what you're basically leading me to is that there's been an obvious imbalance when it comes to the trade and economic relationship between Nigeria and the UK. And some would point to the UK's exit from the European Union, and that's with Brexit in 2020, when we've seen the UK now try to reach out to countries to establish a more personal one-on-one relationship beyond what was available with the United Kingdom. It's obvious that the UK is also after something. And if you believe many people who tell you nothing comes for free, what do you think the UK is after in making such a very generous tariff elimination? And remember, it doesn't just affect Nigeria. It's going to affect some 37 countries on the continent, 65 countries globally around the world. What's the UK after here?
I think, remember, immediately the UK went into Brexit. They visited African country, and Nigeria was that country where they visited. I think it was then the Crown Prince Charles came here, and then immediately after that, you saw the European Union sending the French President Macron here also that period. So definitely the UK have tried to liaise large onto the Commonwealth nations. And by the time you look at these 37 countries, you realize that most of them are the Commonwealth nations. So definitely they know that they need to do businesses with African countries, and they are now letting into the Commonwealth countries so that they can be able to begin to benefit from them, because as it stands, the European Union is as a bloc, the NATO they as a bloc, and then the Chinese also are coming in. So the UK need to begin to look at how they can come in, and they are coming in as a single entity. So I'm not surprised with the duty-free tariff. They need to bring something different to attract people to their market, because it's like there's a variety of market that people can begin to go into. So for me, I think that's the main reason They need more trading partners, and they are capitalizing on their relationship via the Commonwealth of Nations.
Okay, let me ask a follow-up question to that. If the United Kingdom had really not left the European Union, do you think we'd see an attempt at some of these trade overtures that we're seeing right now? Because it's basically about a need. We need the markets, but they also need as well.
They need us more now than we need them. Because basically we can do business with the Europeans, and the Europeans will in turn take those commodity or those goods into their own UK economy and also profit more than the UK. So the UK need us more than we need them as it stands, because they are a standalone entity. I keep saying, and this other European Union, exception of China, they are not just standalone. They come in terms of they're coming in block. So they give more incentives. So the UK need to give something better than there. So they stand to benefit more from us than we benefit from them. But again, why they would think that we have to benefit for them more is because they have the liquidity, they have the resources to consume this product, and they have the infrastructure. So you won't be surprised that some of the product that will be taken there in their raw stage, and they will develop it into various items. So that's where we have the challenge. We've not been able to, if Nigeria is going to export today, we are going to export raw materials to the British instead of bringing finished materials from here, where we tend to gain more. So that's why I say we need to build our infrastructure. I remember the African Continental Trade Agreement have not been able to benefit any of the African countries because of infrastructure. So it's still going to be a major problem in terms of storage before export. And when you are going to export, the cost in terms of cost of production, if the cost per pounds in the UK market. And again, if you have people in the UK that are also having same product that we are bringing from Africa. So definitely we need to look at a whole lot of it, but with the reduction in tariff, I think it will make us be able to compete with most of the companies in the UK.
So you've hit on a very important and critical point to this conversation. So we know that Nigerian exporters of cocoa, cotton, plantain, flowers, fertilizers, tomatoes, frozen shrimp, sesame seed, those are just some of the people who will benefit from this scheme. But as you mentioned, there are infrastructural challenges. We have issues moving produce from the farms to the markets. We have storage issues. We have value addition issues as well. So when you see a scheme as interesting as this, with benefit possibly to the UK, for Nigeria and even other African countries to fully take effect, what kind of policies and incentives would you expect to see governments put forth for the agricultural sector and for the exporting sector in order for us to truly benefit? And as you said, not simply just exporting raw materials and having some of these tomatoes come back to us as tomato paste, having the fertilizer come back to us as a finished product for our farms. How do we truly benefit?
I think we truly will benefit. Nigeria has already established the Export Promotion Council, and also I think the Minister of Finance also have set up a committee that have both the custom and then the Export Promotion Council, the Ministry of Finance, the CBN, and others. I think they are planning to see how they can create this value chain, the end, that is the value chain of this product, either building of storage close to the port, reduction in tariff. The CBN has gone as far as trying to mobile all payment system into one platform instead of you going here and paying here. I think those are part of the things that the government need to do, and I think they're already doing it. But unfortunately, like I keep saying, is the monetary policy that is taking the lead instead of the physical side taking the lead, and the monetary policy will support in terms of payment. But what we are seeing, that the monetary policy seems to be the one coming up with all the lead, dragging the physical side into it in the case of Nigeria. So definitely, I think if they continue with those partnerships, then we will benefit, because it will remove a lot of bottleneck that comes. You have to pay Export Promotion Council, you have to pay this duty, you have to go to customs. So all these are now under one payment platform being handled by the Central Bank of Nigeria. For me, I think we have done that. Now we need to go a little bit further in the area of intervention. This intervention could come in the area of monetary policy or fiscal policies. For monetary policy, I think they're already doing that, the RX 200. I think that is already working. Then the fiscal side need to come up with policies. And unfortunately, we are in an election year. The fiscal side seems to be non-existent. So, but I hopefully, when the new administration comes in, they will come up with fiscal policy that will support what the monetary policy are doing.
Okay, so the DCTS is expected to come into full force in 2023, replacing the UK's generalized scheme of preferences and also looking to compete with the US's African Growth and Opportunity Act, which provides eligible sub-Saharan African countries with duty-free access to the US market for over 1,800 products. When you sort of look at what we know right now about the DCTS and AGOA, which has been very popular for some African countries across the continent, how do you think the DCTS actually stacks up?
I think most African countries have not really benefited from it. Because of all issues that have to do with tariff, issues that have to do with cost of production, issues that have to do with cost of the product in other countries. So definitely, I think the UK must have looked at this, and that's why they are bringing a reduction of 99% in tariff. I think that is going to be the game changer. We have not really benefited from all this thing because if you look at the volume of trade between Nigeria and the UK, especially, or with any other, you realize that they've not done much. So the Europeans or the UKs are still leading in those areas. So because of the high, because of tariff and cost of this product, when you take it to the UK, via competing with similar product that comes either from Europe or Asia countries. So I think with the 99% reduction in tariff, it will make it a more viable option for Africans to profit from it.
Do you think there are any loopholes here that we should pay attention to? It's often said that you shouldn't look a gift horse in the mouth, but if we take anything away from the story of the city of Troy, Trojan horses are things you need to investigate. Overall, it seems like a very great thing for African exporters, Nigerian exporters, but at the end of the day, what do you think the UK stands to gain? Is there a way for us to sort of negotiate this, to even put ourselves on a more advantageous footing in this conversation?
I think the UK, like I said, they stand to gain more from us. We'll bring our product there. Remember that a lot of Nigerians are in the UK. Nigerian product is becoming not just a product for Nigerians, for Africans, and also for Jamaicans. And when you look at the UK population now, you have more Africans and more Jamaicans coming in. So definitely they tend to gain more from us. But we need to look at it, like you said, nothing comes free. But we need to look at it in terms of seeing how the UK can also help us in building those key infrastructure to enhance those trade, and also looking at not just Nigerian companies going to the UK alone, how UK companies can also establish here in Nigeria, so that the government of Nigeria can also benefit from tax from some of these goods that the UK companies will be producing right here in this country. So definitely we need to look at it. We shouldn't make it be a one-way traffic. We should also look at what are the benefits for us also, and also are we going, our government or African countries going to be giving tariff rebate to UK companies that want to establish plant in Nigeria for most of the goods that ordinary Nigerian will need to import or African will need to import into their country. If they do that, remember that there's a snowball effect will have to come in the area of employment, and also we will not see the exchange rate volatility. There has been a challenge for all African countries, and especially Nigeria, begin to go because the demand on FX will be low, because most of those products can be gotten here through our own currency. So those are part of the thing. I don't think we should just accept the agreement as it is, but we should also look at how UK companies can come here also and establish their own plan and do production of most of those goods that Nigeria also wants.
And it's interesting you mentioned that, because the provisions of the DCTS basically focus on reducing tariffs, liberalizing rules of origin requirements, and also simplifying the conditions attached to the overall scheme. Even within the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, the rules of origin have been a major sticking point when it comes to production of goods and movement of goods across the continent. When you think about this in terms of what the UK is offering, what they're calling a generous unilateral offer, one-way offer as it is, what do you think that would mean for us, this rule of origins requirements? What should it look like to have the most positive effect for the African continent, for the countries on the continent that will be benefiting?
I keep saying it. I think we should learn as Africans to do more business with ourselves. If we are doing more volume of business with ourselves, I mean, we don't so much need most of this. They have to be seeking our attention. But as it stands now, they seem to gain more from us. And this is boiled down to bottleneck in terms of what you're just saying, because But we tend to agree a lot of things on paper, and we don't tend to bring it to workable plan in reality. I think that's a major challenge that we are having as African countries, especially in the African Continental Trade Agreement, because it's not cheaper to get a product from China than getting that same product from Kenya, even if the raw materials of that product was moved from Kenya to China. So it has a lot to do with infrastructure. I keep saying that it has a lot to do, because when you talk about infrastructure, why the cost of some of these goods are very expensive, because when you are trying to move it, it takes a lot moving all these goods because you have no good road networks. You just need to look at aviation. The connectivity between African countries and themselves, you realize that it's almost non-existent. You can't easily get a flight directly from Lagos, Nigeria, to say you are going to Guinea-Bissau or you are going to Cape Verde. You need to do a stopover, and you can't even get a rail system, just like what is obtainable in other trade, like European Union and the NATO country in North America. So definitely, I think there's still a lot to be done on both sides, but especially on the African countries more.
Okay, so the UK Deputy Commissioner, High Commissioner who was in Nigeria, said that the volume of trade between Nigeria and the United Kingdom was £5.5 billion in 2022. Of that amount, UK exports to Nigeria were £3.3 billion, while the UK imports from Nigeria were around £2.2 billion, a difference of £1 billion. And that's a lot for a country such as Nigeria. But he also stated that most of the commodities traded between the two countries were oil and gas, and now wanting to expand it with the DCTS. There are some concerns often that when there's such a focus on exporting, the local market suffers. What do you think about that concern in relation to this conversation as well?
Exactly, you have said it, or the local market will suffer. And again, if you look at our GDP, who have contributed more to our GDP this year, you realize there is a non-oil sector. And so we are not even out of the 1 billion difference. What we have seen is there is just oil and gas, and oil and gas has not contributed so much to the Nigerian economy for the past 1 year because of subsidy in a lot of all these products. So definitely the area that Nigerian government is driving out, that is agriculture and other key areas that will provide employment for our youth and also reduce hunger in the land, are not generally what are benefiting from some of this agreement that we sign with all these developed nations. So it will be a good idea if we are bringing in agriculture into it, we are bringing all the non-oil sector into it, and if with what we've seen, the non-oil sector have been able to give about 70 to 80% into the GDP this year. And again, the challenge is because what they give in terms of FX is not comparable to what oil and gas will give in terms of FX. And that's why we've seen the volatility. So by the time we improve this sector, and this sector competitively can bring in more FX into the Nigerian market, just like the oil and gas sector, then we'll have stability in our exchange rate. We'll have stability in our exchange rate, cost of production will come down, we're able to tackle inflation, and then local demand for some of these products will also come up, and many companies with spring of unemployment will come in, and then most of the British companies also will be able to compete with them both locally and globally. Because what you see is that if you look at those, why Chinese are able to compete with them because of their manpower and the infrastructure, and the Chinese can easily go in and begin to bring their product low. And how do they do that? They will just decide to cut rates. And so, I mean, it's something that African and Nigerians should begin to look at and see how we can come up with workable plan to begin to benefit in all these things, not mostly on our key raw materials, but other sectors that can drive growth via our key raw materials.
All right, finally, Muktar, before I let you go, so the DCTS, as I said earlier, will benefit some 65 countries, about 37 of them here on the African continent. And for Nigeria in particular, with an addition of this elimination, about 9,200 plus products will now be almost duty-free under the scheme, basically meaning around many of the products going to the UK from Nigeria will have 99% of goods being duty-free. And at the end of the day, an exporter will hear this. Somebody who's in the agricultural business, agro value chain will hear this and be very excited. Moving away from politics, moving away from the government, what do you think those who are in the agribusiness, those are who could be not even just agriculture, because there are other commodities also that will be exported, what should be the next steps for them to be able to take advantage of this?
think they should go and build global best practice. They should make sure their companies run globally. I mean, in terms of global best practice, they should begin to think of building their products in terms of to international standard. The challenge we have with Nigeria is that sometimes we like cutting corners when it comes to our own goods and services. They should know that this opportunity has come for them to sell their goods and services to earn effect into the market, to create more employment. They should take good advantage of it. Taking advantage of it, I think they should look at how they can improve most of these their goods and services, that it can become what is obtainable globally, and they will begin to compete with more global brands, and those global brands will be forced also to begin to see how they can invest here in Nigeria in those same companies that are their competitors, to make sure that they have a synergy to grow the global economy. So it's something that is achievable if our own Nigerians that are going to be the key beneficiary for this will keep their acts in order, and also like I keep saying, the Export Promotion Council should come in and help them. The CBN also should even come in and see how they can help them in the area of monetary policy, and making sure that they don't have challenge in exporting their goods, because sometimes you say duty free, and by the time you take it to the port, the custom are beginning to charge you one amount or the other, or because of corruption, things are not done properly as it is written in the book. So I think those are part of the things the government should look at, and for the individuals, I keep saying they should look at building good products that will be accepted globally, especially in the UK market, where they have had that leverage to go and put their product up there.
All right, Muktar, thank you so much. We do have a few more months for this to fully take effect, and we'll be seeing how some of the developments in line with getting Nigerian exporters ready and also the UK market ready to receive will be going. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.